Hello and welcome to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Laura Gordon from FinTech Connect. Laura, how are you?
I'm really good. I'm excited to talk to you about what we've been working on.
You've been working on something pretty special as well, so I'm excited to hear all about it. So, FinTech Connect, one of the biggest shows in the financial markets arena. It's a 5-day event, something completely new and transformational. And I was saying this to you the other day. I think it is absolutely incredible what you guys have done to be able to sort of turn this, the pressure of having this in a year like we've had, and for events companies to be pivoting and moving into these digital arenas is fantastic. But I'm not going to do it any of the justice that you can yourself. So give us an overview of what's been happening and what FinTech Connect's all about.
Yeah, so this is our 6th year for FinTech Connect. Normally we are a great big event down in the Excel over 2 days. We would usually have around 7,000 to 8,000 attendees across those 2 days. So we are talking quite large scale event.
Yeah.
Like everyone else that has been thrown and disrupted this year. We're certainly not the only industry. But we still wanted to be able to bring something together. We very much positioned FinTech Connect at the beating heart of the fintech ecosystem. And we're trying to rise to the challenge of still delivering that and actually taking some opportunity from this. So this year, it's going to be a lot more of a global perspective. So over the 5 days next week, we're running from the 30th of November to Friday, the 4th of December. We'll have around about 8,000 global fintech leaders drop in across the course of the week. We've got 200 speakers there. We've got some great keynotes. So we have Pinterest, the head of fintech at Just Eat speaking. We have the Chief Digital Transformation Officer from DBS. We have Starling from Starling Bank, or Bowden from Starling Bank, should I say? Given a new moneymaker there. So we've got a lot of big hitters coming together. We cover blockchain, RegTech, paytech, and digital transformation, which is obviously going to be the crux of what we talk about this year. Like everyone, the whole industry has been spun faster down the tunnel of rapid digital transformation. There is a lot to talk about, and for us it was very important that we could still deliver something in the calendar. That this has been quite an important community that we've built up over the years, and we still wanted to make sure that we could deliver somewhere where they could all come and get benefit from what's actually been happening, hear from each other, and actually still meet, albeit virtually, over the course of a week.
That's incredible numbers, isn't it? I mean, it's 7,000-8,000 people over, physically over 2 days. 6 years in the making of building something like this up. And I think it's testament to you guys, as I've said, that you sort of kept that community engaged and coming together. Remind me of the numbers that you're expecting over the 5 days of this virtual feast that you're serving up.
Yeah, so we should have, over the week, we're certainly not expecting everyone to log in and be there at the same time, but we should have anywhere between 68,000, on our platform, which is great. And we've got around about 200 speakers as well. So there's a great lineup there. And, one of the benefits of the fact that we've now got it on a virtual level is, there's a lot of speakers previously that can't commit to big events like this. They can't take the time to get to an event. You're going to see a lot of names there that perhaps you wouldn't have had previously, and a lot more of a global audience. It's just like a football match. If it's home, you get more of the home crowd. If it's the same as a physical event. If it's placed in the UK, you're going to get more of a UK centric audience and European. Yeah. But now with the fact that it's online, you're going to see quite more of a global reach, both in terms of speakers, but actually who's there as an attendee, which is really interesting, and I think is a new dimension to it.
Well, it adds a great opportunity, and look, part of this show has always been about sort of spinning the positive as opposed to the negative that you can get on all other news channels, if we're going to call ourselves a news channel on this. But this is it's been phenomenal to me about where opportunity lies, and to be able to take a show like yours that's always so well put together and so well done, and to be able to increase that reach and put it out to that global thing, that's a massive positive, right? And to be able to spread the message, and for, I guess for delegates as and also, I guess for exhibitors and for speakers to, to be able to spread that across the world is a huge plus for this sort of thing, right? It's one of the plus sides of what's been a really difficult situation for all.
Yeah, yeah, and I think, particularly this year, you sometimes find yourself tripping over the words of, opportunity and, new, options that are available, because you sometimes feel like it's inappropriate to say that there's opportunity, that you shouldn't be making opportunities in climates like that. But, I don't, you kind of have to ride that kind of carefully. But, at the end of the day, regardless of what business you're in, we all still need to survive. Hopefully we were doing a lot more than surviving. Everyone wants to thrive. But it's still actually realizing at the end of the day, we all still have businesses to run, and we all still have to deliver whatever it is that we normally deliver. So whether it's as a sponsor, you are in a company that's a tech vendor, still needs to make sales. At the end of the day, being in a pandemic doesn't negate that. If you are from a large merchant or a new challenger bank, you still need to get your message out there. We still need to benchmark and learn what everyone else is doing. So that is very important for us, that we still obviously continue as a business to provide a platform that delivers on that. I think events are very multifaceted. We're all dying to get back to face-to-face events. I think we're all dying to get back to face-to-face anything. But that's just not the situation we're in, and we just have to adapt to that. And I'm not going to sit and say that a virtual event is ever going to replicate face-to-face interaction. It's simply not. But there are a lot more aspects to virtual events, and there are a lot more aspects to physical events, and that's kind of what we had to peel back a bit. And I'm sure the same as many other people in our industry is, why do you go to an event? Who is our audience? We have sponsors, we have our speakers, we have our attendees, we've got our press that come, and we have people like yourselves, our partners that we work with, and we all have different reasons as to why we go to these events. And obviously, a huge part of that is networking and face-to-face. But there's a lot of other elements. We're going there to learn, to benchmark, to hear what the big names are doing, or to hear what these disruptors that we're hearing rumors of doing, what are they thinking? What are other people's models? What are they finding? Are people having the same issues as us? It's a great place to get there and kind of step away from the constraints of your own four walls of your business and actually find out about others and hear what's happening and keep on top of things. And it is great to get there and launch products, to reconnect with old people. People are there prospecting for their next job. Who's hiring? Who sounds good? What's happening in the industry? Where do I want to go next? There's all these different elements, and that's what we've been trying to find, the perfect platform to deliver on that, but also to create an agenda that actually feeds into all these different reasons as to why you actually go to an event. So I think it's quite important not to get honed in on this sort of, oh, but we're not going to see everybody. And, you kind of just have to go, yeah, like everything else this year, it's a bit crap and you're not going to be able to do it. But there are other things and other reasons why you go to events previously, why you sponsor, why you speak, that can still be attained on a virtual platform and in a virtual event, and to also think, what else can we do that we couldn't normally do? Which is great, and there is opportunity to explore within that.
I think that's one of the things, because you don't sort of realize how well, I guess you did, but when you put it in here, you don't realize how big this sort of trade show world is to companies. As I said, I spent the last few months talking to people all day, every day, with regards to the changing in their business and how they're refocusing, and particularly at the start. And this was when some of the big shows around the capital market space were coming under threat and scrutiny and getting cancelled, etc., etc. The big thing was how it affected the sales pipelines of vendor companies in particular, and their adoption. And it was, if I was going to say, right, what are some of the 5 to 10 biggest concerns of leaders of financial technology businesses at the stage, the lack of trade shows was definitely right up there. So how are they going to then move that out there? Move that out? How are they going to survive without the sort of face-to-face options? And lo and behold, the sort of the events industry adapts to it, recognizes its importance, and gives that platform to people out. That said, there's always still that, and I'm not going to shy away from this. I know you're happy for me not to, but to go into the negatives of that, saying, look, virtual events, we hear about digital burnout. We're missing the ability for our sales guys to go out there and connect and meet and see people in the bar afterwards, and all this sort of stuff, and all the things that make it that sort of special, collaborative, passing trade sort of atmosphere, opportunity. And I certainly am not going to have as many branded darts and all this sort of stuff to come back from this time out. But tell me about, and I know you've sort of alluded to this a little bit beforehand, but you guys have worked really hard to allow it, and you talked about the platform beforehand as well, to allow that collaboration a little bit and still manage to get maximum value for people and pivot towards that. Give us a bit of an insight into what you've done there as well, if you would.
Yeah, certainly. So FinTech Connect is going to be taking a place on a platform which is actually already live. So that is immediately one of your benefits there. Previously you only get to an event and see people for whatever time you arrive there. And it's maybe during some limited networking hours. And as you say, depending on what time you knock off to the pub, at the end, whatever time you're calling it quits, whether that's 2, 3, 4, or 5 in the afternoon, that's your sort of networking and sort of sales generation time there. But what we wanted to do was to obviously try and tackle head on some of the concerns that we have, not just from the sponsors and exhibitors, but also from all attendees, which is interaction. That is still vital, and it is still at the heart of the platform that we have for FinTech Connect. So we have launched it, and we launched it a week and a half before the event even due to take place. So that enables people to actually get on there, create their profile, start networking and seeing, you can search by company, you can have a look at all the attendees that are already registered, and you can reach out to them and you can arrange meetings. And that can be before the event, during the event, after the event. And that all happens within our platform. And it's sort of integrated Zoom. So that you still can have your one-to-one. And yes, you're not going to have the person walking past your stand or catching someone on the way out for the exhibition, or the person that you're sat beside, but as I mentioned before, I think you kind of just have to put to bed that that's not happening. And like you say, the entire world is in this situation, so the one benefit per se is that other companies aren't getting this either. You don't have to worry about your competitors. We're all in the same situation, and I think that's important when you're choosing a virtual event, is to try and find one that actually can give you as close to the benefits that you had previously and is working hard to give you additional benefits. And that was the huge aspect for us. And with the platform as well, and you can obviously still get your speakers, you'll get your panels, you'll get the content, that is all still there. But at a huge trade show, you would be conflicted about what sessions you can make. And sometimes there's nothing that tickles your fancy in the afternoon, and then suddenly you've got clashes. And that's always the way. And we can never cater to that. It's obviously great if we have clashing content. It means we've got really good content. But with the benefit of it being virtual is that you can come back in if you've got a clash, and you can go and watch that session later. Or if you just have that meeting that you can't move, or if the kid that you're homeschooling needs to have some attention given to them, these are the things that we're obviously all dealing with, so you can come back at your own convenience and watch that, and we still make that available for weeks after our event as well, because we're aware that there's different time zones and there's different conditions that we're all working with. And with the speakers as well, you're going to have more global speakers, which is great. They don't have to worry about taking a day and a half, 2 days out of their work. They can, nip in and do their session and hang around. previously as well, you'd have people even at an event that would come, speak, and leave. With these speakers,
Mm.
again, they'll be on the platform, so you can reach out to them in advance. These are really senior people, and you can even engage with them through our Q&A. It's obviously a bit daunting for some people to submit their questions. You just maybe have a more basic question or a question.
It's easier than putting your hand up, isn't it? And having
If it's stupid, it's a lot easier to submit it, when you're behind a computer and no one can see you. You can do that kind of thing. There's all the sort of interactive elements that we're trying to put into the platform as well. So sort of our live polling. So, it's a huge audience that we have tuning in over the course of the week. And it's, we've got merchants, disruptors, financial institutions, fintechs. It's really, people to get live insights from these people whilst they're all watching sessions or on the platform. It's invaluable, for you as a company to sort of benchmark where you're at, if you're a sponsor, an exhibitor, to try and get a sense of what your customer is thinking and where they're at. This year it's not very easy to hedge bets on a lot of these things. So to get that sort of real lifetime insight is a perk that you don't normally get with physical events.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there's a lot to be said for that, and it's look, you've been in and around that event space for some time now, and sort of queen of the area. Tell us tell us a little bit about how it's been working, because we know there's been a number of others under the umbrella of your group, but also other areas that have been doing these and running them. What sort of feedback have you taken on board, and what's the sort of perception of what makes a great virtual event at the moment on the scale that you're talking about?
Yeah, I think certainly it is first and foremost the technology. What platform are you running this on? How can we use it? Is it something that's easy, is user friendly as well? That has been a huge learning curve. We, like everyone else, had to go out and test and trial and run these. And it's actually, looking at what our not even necessarily competitors are doing, it's at our actual end users. What are they running their events on? They're obviously not to the same scale as we are. But a lot of our exhibitors would normally run sort of meetups or their own webinars during the year. So it's sort of familiarizing ourselves with what is out there and what our own users are using, and just speaking with everyone. That's the only way you can learn. You don't want to behind the scenes work on something that you think is great and then produce it and you realize we've just sort of missed the mark because there's all these other key elements. So throughout the year there's obviously been huge amounts of virtual events, and we have great relationships with our clients, and they give us a lot of feedback on what they've liked, what they've not liked, where they've missed the mark, and we just try and build that into our platform, but also into the actual event content itself. It's obviously very hard for speakers. They don't get the interaction. It's trying to adapt. Yeah, it's trying to adapt to things like that. As a speaker, it can be quite daunting, perhaps, actually just going on and speaking to your laptop, but knowing there's thousands of other people tuned in at the other end. It's how can we support that? You can still try and make it engaging. You can still be funny and humorous. That's still, it's just prepping them that you're not going to necessarily get that feedback back, but the people on the other side still want to be engaged and still want to hear a story brought to life. So it's trying to help, our speakers from that element, and also just trying to work with our sponsors and our exhibitors as well, and how best you can prepare for an event to get the most from it. If I like to think if we can go into a physical event blindly, in terms of preparation, I don't think the same approach should be taken with a virtual event either. I think preparation is really quite key there. Even as an attendee, you're going to get a huge more amount of personalization that you never got at a physical event before. You can go in and build your own agenda on our platform and just get reminders about the sessions that you're interested in. You can, there's all these levels of insights and ways to search for topics that are just of interest to
Well, it's
you.
the time and flexibility, isn't it? That
Yeah.
personalization and segmentation is so difficult. And as you said, look, when there's people there who are invariably, sort of coming in from, all over the world at various different stages, it's a massive commitment, both financially and in terms of time as much as anything else as well. So to have a senior crew on site there is not insignificant to be able to do that, and to have that ability to have something that's completely tailored to you that you can tap in and tap out of, and have stuff there that's absolutely relevant, I think is another massive plus to it. There's something I want to ask about the sort of and you sort of mentioned various different areas and companies, etc., beforehand. Fintech's such a big word, and I know that when you look at it into various different areas, there are so many different things that fintech means to different people. This, talking about segmentation there, with something as big as FinTech Connect and 8,000 people and 200 speakers, etc., there's a lot of parts of that are relevant and irrelevant to various different people within that. Tell us about what you've got for everyone. What sort of areas are you catering for? What sort of sectors should be particularly relevant for this, and equally importantly, who's it irrelevant to at the same time?
Yeah, so I think, we're covering a lot of areas over, it's running for 5 days, which is giving us the added benefit. We would never try and run a physical event for 5 days. I think we'd kill ourselves and everyone when we tried to make attend it. So we've got blockchain, we've got RegTech, we've got PayTech, we have our Founders Forum, and we have DX Connect, which is our digital transformation segment. So they're the sort of 5 umbrellas within which the content all falls under.
Is there a hot area in that you're seeing?
Oh, 100%. It's always digital transformation, and it probably always will be, because essentially everyone is always going to be transforming, right? But this year more than ever, I think that is the one that is just going to appeal to everybody. How it has just cascaded on this rapid growth, and we just did our survey with our network recently as well, and there's some really interesting insights there of particularly looking at disruptors and challenger banks and bricks and mortar, and what people think will actually survive, where that's taking a hit, even to things like Brexit. Sometimes you can get so caught up in where we're at the moment that you forget that is just looming around the corner. These are huge topics that need to be addressed by our audience, and even right down to our Founders Forum, which is specifically tailored for those who are the CEO and founders of all aspects of companies, whether it be just themselves or someone, a challenger that has rapidly scaled in the past few years. And that's a really great sort of closed forum for people within that area to sort of learn from each other on those that have actually made this, scaled quickly, and what's enabled that in terms of investment, to staffing and resourcing, and just sort of day-to-day troubleshooting. And we also have lots of fun aspects as well. And I think you can kind of forget that, you can get so caught down in, obviously there's lots of great content, don't get us wrong, but our friends over at FinTech Finance are always great at coming up with fun, innovative ideas. So normally they do their sort of big fat FinTech quiz of the year at our event. So lots of things like this would obviously can't happen, but they have somehow roped a few willing participants into the FinTech Hot Ones. So you can tune in and see how I think we have someone from Klarna and 11FS have agreed to be interviewed whilst eating a progressively hotter and hotter chicken wings. So you can still, there's elements like this that we can incorporate that we couldn't previously. We have,
who is
lots
it
of
that does that? I've seen that on TV somewhere where they're
there is someone who
TV,
does it.
isn't
It's an American. It's Nick idea, but I can't remember. I think Nina Klarna has already done hers and got up pretty successfully on the Scovilles of hotness with the chicken wings.
It's a great idea.
There's these elements as well. So there's the fun elements, and even our sponsors, they're sending out some wine and cheese to some of their clients for a tasting session and running that on the platform.
Brilliant.
So it's just, how do you adapt to things that we have
Yeah.
like this? And you can't have your own private lunch in a room like you can before, but we've got sponsors sending out delivery vouchers, so they can still run their lunch and you can order in what you want and you can still do it virtually. So there's ways to adapt, and there is still, if you I think that's the key to the virtual events that I was sort of looking back on, is if you prepare yourself for them, there is still a lot you can get out of them.
Let's talk about that actually, because I'm really interested, because it is a new world, and you're talking probably about what you've got sponsors, you've got exhibitors, you've got delegates, you've got partners, etc. All in there. They're probably
Yeah.
the sort of main stakeholders within that. What should each of them be doing to really maximize this, and what's the sort of preparation that people can be doing for it?
Yeah, so I think, like I said, we've already launched the FinTech Connect platform.
Yeah.
So don't leave it to, the Monday morning keynote that you're dying to hear, to try and log in and you can't find your link and you haven't checked if things work. So it's not as easy as rocking up to the Excel Center and getting off the TLR. So it's just trying to be mindful of that, and get yourself set up on the platform and familiarize yourself. We've got tips on there, from FAQs to our sort of manned virtual help desk, where you can pop by and ask us a question on anything you get stuck on, to sort of an orientation video of quickly how it works. But it's very intuitive as well. So I think that's your first and foremost, do that. I think if you're an attendee, or even if you're an exhibitor and sponsor, have a look at the agenda and highlight the ones that you want to see. If you were paying or taking the time out of the office to go to a physical event, you would probably have those sessions I don't want to miss. So try and do that as well, because our platform will send you reminders, and it's very easy to forget, when it's a virtual session and somehow you missed it because you got caught up with something else at the desk. I think if you were going, treat it as a physical event in some senses. Particularly if you're a sponsor and exhibitor, you should be blocking out the time in your day. You're essentially out of office, you're at the event. So try and be mindful of that. You're still going there to learn, or you're still going there to try and network with people. Give yourself that time. So block your time out of your day. And it doesn't, obviously, it's virtual, it doesn't need to be the whole day. Even if you just take a couple hours each day or on any given day and try and do that, you're going to get a lot more straight away from that, by making sure you're not overcommitted to the sort of day-to-day monotony when you're behind your desk of trying to deliver and people thinking you're around. Make it clear that you're not available. And who do you want to meet? Whether you're, particularly if you're a sponsor and exhibitor, you go in and you sponsor an event with a particular, that's an audience that's relevant for you. So actually think about your clients or your prospects or the target companies that are of interest to you, and get onto the platform now and see if they're there. Identify who the people are, reach out to them, try and schedule in the meetings, try and get in their calendars and in front of them, so you can really, at the end of the day, like we've sort of touched on, these companies still, you need to make sales, you need to get that pipeline growing, give yourself the best opportunity to do it, and get in there first before other people start blocking out all their time. You wouldn't stand by at a physical event and watch all the other sponsors and exhibitors on the floor go over to your potential clients. So why just let them have first dib, would you? You would be trying to get, in front of them, or, get a coffee with them. So try and take the same approach, albeit, yes, it's virtually you have to do it, but that's the situation you're in. So try and get in front of them, and, particularly with sponsors, you should have a goal in mind of why you've sponsored an event. And, we're here to try and make sure we can help you get that and deliver on it. So reach out to the provider, of who you've run an event with, and how they can help you. Obviously they're more familiar with the platform and they've been running online events more, so they can give you ideas of, if you'd previously run things that would only work in a physical event, how can you adapt that, or how can you do something even better in the virtual world? No experts per se, we're adapting to this as we come, but we've run a few of them now, so we can help you try and carve out something of interest so that you can still try and get as much as you would have from the physical event virtually.
Yeah, and that's the really interesting part, isn't it? Because what you're talking about there isn't anything revolutionary. It makes perfect sense. Look, there's years and years of people adapting and knowing what works for the physical event and how they can maximise their return from it. And again, it's whilst this isn't in the flesh, there's loads of things that people can do which generally come back to exactly the same as if you're going to a physical event, which is prepare, make sure you're present, introduce yourself, be bold on it all. And it's the art of networking, just in a slightly different capacity this time out, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And if
and
you've
that's
got,
that's that.
an interesting story to tell, people are going to want to hear from you.
Yeah,
That doesn't change regardless of what, what channel you do that through, in person or online. If you know your product or your service or what it is you have to offer, and it's aimed at the right people, and you tell that in an interesting manner, then they're always going to want to hear from you. So that doesn't change whether it's
it's a
virtual.
great message for a speaker, isn't it? I mean, for the speakers at the event, the 200 of them, what a fantastic way of broadcasting your knowledge, your gravitas, your expertise, that the reach to something that's probably bigger than it's ever been before in terms of what you're
Yeah.
doing. In terms of what you're doing, there's great stakes to be achieved from doing that and having the confidence to go out there and then sit on those panels or give the keynote or whatever it might be as well. It's really encouraging.
Yeah, exactly. And this year we have one of our long-standing partners, FinTech Circle. They have been working with ITN on a documentary, The Future of FinTech. And they have, I believe it's 8 sort of fintechs that have grown rapidly or sort of emerging onto the markets in the past couple of years that are featured in this. Their founders and their C-suite are interviewed and they talk about this. And this is going to premiere at FinTech Connect online. Now, previously, would that necessarily have happened? You think about all the logistics of what goes into a premiere. But again, this is something that's an opportunity that's been afforded to us, and we're grateful that this is the platform that they're going to run it through. And that comes from the need of the show must go on. People still are producing documentaries, new services, whatever it is, and they still need platforms to talk about this.
Well, Suzanne's been frantic all the way through it, isn't it? Producing writing books, and
she never stops. I don't know how Suzanne manages it all, but she'll be there on the day doing a Q&A and introing it. So there's things like this which are great, and we're very grateful that sort of FinTech Connect is recognised as the place that people want to come and announce their breaking news. And that doesn't stop. We have press that are still interested in coming. They still know that this is where big stories are going to break. This is where speakers are going to be telling us about what they've done in 2020, which is perhaps more interesting than any other year. And they still want to get the insights and the scoop, and that's testament to the fact that we've got some great speakers, some great content, and that this is still able to deliver. I'm not going to say it's able to deliver what a physical event is. We're not trying to say it's going to be the same as what it would have been in physical, but we're saying that it's still delivering a great service, albeit slightly different method, but there's definitely the same results that you can get from this virtual event.
Absolutely. I want to round up by looking forward, because I presume that the physical event will return one day.
We all hope so.
And long may it speed its way through to us. And we've been hearing some encouraging vaccine news today. And
yeah.
such like. But tell us about 2021, because as events business, you guys have done incredibly well to sort of keep the world together over the last year or so. 2021 is exciting. Are you looking to go back to physical events in 2021? Is that too early to say at the moment? Are there more virtual things that people should be blocking out in the diary? Tell us what the future holds.
So I think first and foremost, definitely we want to go back to physical events. That is the goal. That's the goal for everyone. But we're not in charge of that destiny really, and obviously we take the safety first, of course, first and foremost. So we'd like to think maybe Q4 we might have a physical event, if that is possible. But certainly when we speak with people, we still plan that 2021 may well still be virtual. But what's actually interesting is, when we actually spoke with our community and surveyed them, about 2020 and looking to the future and sort of said, what are your thoughts on events? How do you want them? Do you get me back to a physical event as soon as possible? Digital's the way forward. And actually everyone was pretty much straight down the middle. And that's something that you probably wouldn't have seen before. And that's, the transformation of the events industry, where people are actually really interested in hybrid events.
Yeah, I was going to say hybrid sounds like a
yeah.
route.
So which is really interesting. We're all talk about how much we're busting to get back to sort of face-to-face interaction in the first physical events, and probably don't care whose event it is first. You're just going to go because it's a physical event, right? But the fact that people still are interested in hybrid shows that actually I think that's what we're going to have to work towards catering to, because of all the things we mentioned earlier, that you can get these global speakers in, or you can just dip in and out at a time that works for you, and it doesn't actually cost your company because they're not putting you up in a hotel or flights or whatever. Don't lose you for 3 days from the office. So I think there is going to be an appetite for that, which why wasn't there an appetite for that before? It's the same with home working, isn't it? It's been thrust upon us, and we've seen that it works. We've seen that we can adapt to it. We've seen that we like it. So that's probably going to be the future for us, is hybrid, and actually working out how we deliver that you're getting the best of both. But immediately it will still continue to be virtual, and we've got some new and fun events coming out next year. So February we've got a short 2-day event, daddle.fin, which is all blockchain. We think it's sort of been the problem child that never evolved into all that it was talked about, but now we're seeing lots of promising developments there.
We'll get there for sure.
Yeah, so that's going to be in February. So that'll be the next big thing for us after FinTech. And then we'll be back again in June with another edition of our bigger event that we'll be running next week as well.
Very, very exciting. Very, very exciting. So let's finish up with where people can find out that we've wetted the whistle now and found out all the benefits of where it is, and we know how many people are going to get involved in this, and just the sort of exceptional speakers that you've got going on, and all the value. How do people get involved?
Yeah, so it is free for everyone to sign up and attend. So you can get yourself over to our website. So it's just fintechconnectlondon.com, and just sign yourself up. It's literally an email, and that is you registered. You'll get the link to set up your profile straight away on our platform, and you can get yourself in there and see who else is there, start building out your agenda, and start blocking in some time with the other attendees and the speakers.
Sounds fantastic. So we'll put all the links to it in this as well.
Perfect.
And hopefully we will swell the ranks with even more people clamoring to find out the very best in fintech. Laura, it's always a pleasure. Thanks so much for sharing everything, and well done on everything. I'm really excited for you. Break a leg, as they say in these circles. And I'm sure you'll absolutely smash it. It's going to be really good fun. And I love all the effort, all the innovation. I think this necessity has created some real innovation, and you guys have absolutely been at the forefront of it. So well done, and I wish you the very best of luck with it.
Cheers, Toby. It's great to speak to you about it all.
Likewise, and thank you all for watching. Sign up, go to the event, and we'll see you there. Look forward to speaking to you soon, and thanks for watching FinTech Focus TV. See you soon. Bye now.